Hello everyone, welcome to TechSpark. My name is Anush Kumar, Java trainer, having 5+ years of IT experience. This is for Java session 11. So today's class agenda is we will see what is polymorphism, and inside polymorphism there are two types of polymorphism. That is a method overloading, which is known as a compile time polymorphism, and method overriding, which is known as a runtime polymorphism. So this thing today we will cover what is a polymorphism. So let me first go to the definition of the polymorphism. So polymorphism means basically poly means form. Okay, polymorphism derived from the Greek word poly means many and morph means form means many forms. Polymorphism means performing many operations or having a different types of forms. So it is a core concept of object orientation programming that allows the object to take more than one form. Means one object is performing more than one operation. Means if one person can drive a car, one person can drive a cycle, motorcycle. So same person is performing different operation, depend upon the situation and different types of vehicle. Okay, so that is basically polymorphism. Okay, if one method is performing two operations, then that is called as a polymorphism. Okay, so in Java, it enables a single action to be performed in a different ways. Okay, providing the flexibility and extensibility of the code. Okay, so that is basically a polymorphism. So there are two types of polymorphism. That is overriding, which is known as a runtime polymorphism, and overloading is known as the compile time polymorphism. Okay, so these are two types of polymorphism. So interview, you will definitely get the answer later. What is the polymorphism? So you have to define polymorphism, then its types, and then example and definition. All you have to tell. So polymorphism. First, let's see what is a overloading. So this so what is a method overloading? So in method overloading, what happened? So in previous classes we have seen constructor overloading and method overloading also. So the same thing. This is a method overloading where method overloading occur when a multiple method in the same class have the same method with the same name, only passing parameters are different, then it is called a method overloading. Means if there is a one class that is calculator, you have created a method like int add is a method where we have two parameters, int a, int b. Similarly, we have more add method, double add. Okay, so you have created more than one method with the same name. Okay, only the passing parameter are different. The same method is performing different operations. Okay, so that is basically called as a method overloading. Here means writing two or more method in the same class same method name, only passing parameters are different. That is basically known as method overloading. Method overloading, on the other hand, is a compile time polymorphism. Okay, so if method is overloaded, the compiler decide which method is to be executed by verifying the argument list or return type at the compile time. So it is also known as a compile time polymorphism. Okay, this is basically a method overloading. So, okay, now I will let's go to see the example of the method. Okay, now under project 5, package module 1, class A, let's open class A. So inside this class A, I will create a example of the method overloading. This is an example of the method overloading. Okay, so this is an example of a method overloading. Okay. So here, what is inside method overloading means when you create more than one method with the same name and passing parameter are different, that is called a method overloading. So we will create a method like we will create a static interface. STATI is static int plus means we will add int a is a one parameter, int y is another parameter, and just we will add the thing. STATIC. Here it will be static, and we will return retu variable A plus B. This is a one method. Okay. Now I will create one more method with the same name. If we create one more method with the same name, then we are overloading the method. It means so STATS is static double double plus method name, then double X comma double Y. Okay. Method name is and passing parameter are different. So this is method overloading and then return A plus B. So plus B. Okay. Static int plus int x int y return A plus B. Up to B is A and it is B. Okay. Now I will create a main method, I main method, sort but, and so our method are basically static. So do not need to create a object for calling a static method. Just mm, call by the class name dot base. Now I will create one variable int x. Okay, x equal to method name is plus, and variable I will pass as a 0 comma 1. Okay, this is the first. Okay, then I will call SYSOUT, that is variable x. So where here what will happen exactly? This is the method plus where I am passing int value. Okay, so here this method will be calling this plus method where the int value is passed. Okay, and it will basically give us the result. Okay, so this is the one thing. Will take few minutes. Every time, remember your internet connection should be connected for running the or application or downloading some dependencies. Okay, run Java application. One, we are getting the one result. Now when I will pass double value, so it will go to this second method and it will manipulate the double value. Now I will write double y equal to plus 0.1 comma 0.2. This is a double value and a spelling mistake is there. This is a PLUS plus and then I will write SYSOUT system dot out dot print y. Now in this time, this second method will be called. Okay. Now just running the application. Now you are getting. So we have created two method with the same name. Only passing parameters are different. Okay. Here two method with the same name. Method name is plus passing parameter. One is int. Other method is double. So this is called a method overloading. Similarly, we have seen a constructor overloading also. Okay. That is the simple example of a method overloading. Okay. Let me move down array. Let me move down. Now one more thing. Similarly, we have seen constructor overloading. Okay. We have seen a method overloading. We can also create uh, the main method. We can also do the overloading of main method also. So yes, yes. If interview asks, can we can overload the main method? So you can tell yes, we can overload the main method in Java by defining multiple main method with different parameters by running with okay and only with the main method with a standard syntax. This is the standard syntax. Only this syntax the JVM will run or as a main method. Other main method will be create when overload that will not be considered as a main method by the JVM. Okay, this is the thing. So there, if the interviewers can we overload the main method, your answer yes, we can overload the main method. We can create more than one main method and we can overload it. So this is the interview question generally asked. So how we are creating a multiple method? Let me show multiple main method, overload the main method. Let me show you the with the example. So let me remove these two method first. Remove this. Okay. Now I also removed this. Okay. This is generally a main method with a proper syntax. Okay. This is the with a proper syntax. Okay. Only this will be we have a JVM inside the Java. So only public static void main string array args is executed by the JVM or considered as a main method, and all other method which we will not considered at the main method. So let me show you. This is one main method. Now I am overloading the main method means like same public static void main. Okay, and here what is the definition for overloading? The passing parameter should be different. So here I will pass int a. Okay. So this is a one more main method. Okay. And you can return something. Similarly, you can also write public static void main. Now I will string string b. Okay. This is one more main method. So here we have two main method, and you can also print SYSOUT. That is uh, second, and you can print a value and something. Okay, print like here you can print the value plus a. Okay, similarly in this main method you can create SYSOU2 is write some print statement and write this is a third space plus b. So these are the three different main method. Okay, and now I will call these are different terms, but calling should be from the standard main method, okay, with a proper syntax. So here you will what you will do call this method. You can write uh, main method name is main, and in place of a we will write 10 in this way. Similarly, we have one main, and in that we have passed a string. So I write Anush. Okay, these are the here, the calling should be from the standard main method only. So this way you can see we are getting the output. Okay. So this is the general example of when we have overloaded the main method. Okay. This is the general example. Okay. So in this way you can tell the interview, yes, we can overload the main method, and in this way you can show them the example. Okay. Now we have seen the overload. What is an overriding? Now we will see what is overriding. First, go to our slide first. Mhm. Mhm. Overriding. So, what is basically overriding? So, let's go to the definition. Method overriding occur when a subclass provide a specific implementation of a method that is already been defined in a superclass. Means you have a you have a parent class and child class. Child class inherits the property of the parent class. So for doing this we will use extend keyword. Means create one parent class A, then child class B, extend A. Now the child class B can inherit the property method of the parent class. Okay, this is a parent class animal which have a method void sound. Okay, similarly, this is a child class dog which extend animal A. Okay, now we will override the main method. Here is a one main method sound. Okay, now we will which is basically doing some operation, means animal is making a sound. Okay, now I will create one more method inside a child class with the same name. Okay, but here the output which he is basically giving, which he is basically performing, now I have changed the output as a dog bark. Okay, so see, the same method he is doing different operation in parent class, and I have inherited the parent class method in the child class with the same method name, only this the output I have changed. Okay, so this way the method name are same, but both the method are performing different operation. Okay, means this is basically used where there in a project there is a one method. Okay, already present inside the method, and like you like in banking sector, interest, you know the in banking sector loan there, basically you have to pay the interest. Okay, now in you are working on banking project. Okay, now the loan interest is previously it was 3%. Okay, now you have a method name with the interest which is basically doing some operation and giving the input as a 3%. Now your manager or bank decide to you have to ch- change or modify the method interest method to a 6% interest. Now the bank will be im- superimpose 6% interest on the loan. Now what you will do? You will not go to parent class and change that method. You will generally what you will do? You will extend that parent class in the child class, and you will override. Override means you will again create a one more method with the same name interest, and here you will implement that. Now the 6% will be impose, and then you will call the method. So in this way you basically do not disturb the older code. You have created your new code with the same method, and you are implementing that method. So that is the basically use of the overriding. So overriding basically one few more things related to overriding is that overriding cannot be applied on the variable. Okay, here we inherit the method, and then we modify the logic of inherited method in the child class by once again creating a method in a child class with the same signature with the same name. Okay, overriding is applied only on the method. We cannot apply overriding on the variable. Okay, these are the point you have to remember. Okay, now moving to our practical example of a overloading and overriding. So let me remove this first. This is a class A, and I will make this class A as a parent class. Okay, now this is class. Let's it this let it's a P A R E and parent class. Okay, this is a parent class. Okay, class A. Now class B. Okay, this is a class B. Remove mm, remove all. Mouse is not working properly. This is a class B, which is basically a child class. Okay, now I will with the help of inherited property, we will extend expe and extend a. Now we are inheriting the property of the parent class in child class with the help of inheritance. That's why we have used extend keyword. Okay, now we will perform a override. Means we have now here we have created one method that is a like public void test. Okay, this is public void test. It is giving some output like SYSOUT 2% interest. Okay, this method basically have the some logic which is implementing 2% interest on the loan. Now this is the older code. Okay, when your manager are create you have to update the method, and now 6% interest will be needed. So you will not go backward or change the older method. You will just, what you will do, you will in you have created one class, you extend use the inheritance. Okay, inherit the property of the parent class with the help of extend keyword. Now create one more method with the same, what we say, with the same name. Okay, that is a public void test. Okay, and curly bracket SYSOUT, and here you have 6% interest. Okay, now for overriding the method, you have to there is a annotation that is known as at the rate override annotation, which was introduced in Java version 5. This annotation help us to mm, check whether the overriding is happening or not. Okay, so we have one annotation at the rate OVERRIDE. This override annotation we have to basically mark. Okay, this annotation till that this method is overridden. Okay, so this you have to remember when you are overriding. You this annotation you have to mark. Okay, now so this is telling this method is being override. Okay, now you can create the main method, create the object b1 equal to b. In this way, you have to create the object and call the b1 dot test. Okay, in this way, you can call the method and run. So 6% interest you can see. In this way, you have modified the logic of the previous method, that is a parent class. In the child class, with the help of extend keyword, you have inherited the property of parent class, and now you are overriding that test method. For overriding this, and at the rate override annotation is mandatory. This annotation till you are overriding this method. Okay. Okay. This is the one example of the overriding. Now, so I have tell you, overriding is also known as a runtime polymorphism in Java because the method get resolved on the runtime. Okay, when interview asks why it is called as overriding for runtime polymorphism, we will tell overriding for runtime polymorphism in Java because the method get resolved on the runtime. So what things you have to, certain rules or things you have to remember while creating an overriding means a method should have the same name as the parent class. Okay, the child class method should have the same name as the parent class. Here, the test method, the parent class also have the test. Okay, now, the method should have the same parameter in the parent class. It means parameter, if here you have passed the int, the same parameter should also be in the class B also. The parameter should be same. Okay. And you must follow a is a relationship. Is a relationship means inheritance. Inheritance is mandatory because we are inheriting the method property of the parent class. So inheritance is mandatory. For inheritance, we have used extended keyword to inherit the property of the parent class to child class. Okay, so this is the basic example. Okay, now let me talk about some annotation to annotation. What happened? A, okay, okay. This is B. Remove this is class A. Okay. Now we will talk about some annotations. What is the different types of ANOTATIO annotations? Okay. So first annotation we have seen, that is at the rate override. First annotation we have seen, that is at the rate OVERRI override. What it is doing? It is telling this overriding is happening or not. Okay. Now we have a at the rate depreciated, DEP depreciated annotation. So what the depreciated annotation does is means it is a basically a marker annotation. It indicate that a declaration is absolute or has been replaced by the new forms. Okay, depreciated tax so should be used when an element has been depreciated. Means if some method is being replaced by the new method, in that case you can use depreciated. Means like this is the older method, now you have created one new method and now this method is absolute no longer in use and it is been older, then you can mark as at the rate depreciated. So this is basically is marked as this is depreciated now. When it is depreciated, the this horizontal cross line is basically come under the method. Whenever you are importing some method and you see this horizontal crossing line, that shows this method is basically older. It is no longer in use. Okay, that is basic meaning of the depreciated. Now second, third annotation, let's tell you at the rate suppress, SUPRESS suppress warning. So what basically suppress warning is to inform the compiler to suppress the specific compiler warning, a warning to suppress, like if you are getting some types of unused, unchecked warning, okay, then you want to remove this warning, then you can use at the rate suppress warning. In Java program, warning under two categories that are depreciated, unchecked. Any unchecked warning is generated with a legacy code. Okay, we can suppress that warning with the help of depreciator. Now let me show, this is a depreciated method and this is a main method. Okay, and this is a main method, and if I will, what I will do, mm, a, 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 a1 dot paste. Okay, this is one method. Like this is a class B. Okay, now there is a depreciated method. I will what I will do in child class. I will call this method cursor plus a. This is a class B. Class B extending a. Sorry, mouse. Remove this one. Oh. Now you can see this is a class B extending A. Okay, this is the main method. Okay, this created the object of the class B. When we are calling the test method, you can see this yellow sign. Okay, okay, this method is you can see this, it is written this method test from the type A is depreciated. Means this is a warning. You want to suppress the warning, you can use at the rate SUPRESSWARN. Suppress warning. W should be capital. Sorry. Suppress. Here. This. No, 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 not this. Spelling. Yes, mistake is there. What is the spelling of suppress? SUPRESS. Then suggestion. Okay, no problem. The spelling mistake is basically happening here. So let me. Some spelling mistake is there. SUPI. Oh, SU double P. SU double P. Okay, now it is gone. The suppress warning basically will suppress the unused warning. The suppress. Okay. This is the basically use of the suppressed warning message. Okay. So now we have seen suppressed warning. Then we have at the rate documented annotation at the rate document. This annotation basically what is that? It is also a marker interface that tells it to that the annotate as this method should be documented by the Java compiler. Okay. At the rate documented annotation basically tell if you write here at the rate documented that it will tell separately the compiler that this method should be documented by a Java compiler. Similarly, we have at the rate target. Okay, annotation at the rate target annotation at the rate target annotation. So these are the different kinds of annotation, and there are many more annotation we will see in upcoming classes, which we basically implement inside the project. Okay, when we create a project now, then we there are different types of annotation which we basically see. That will be, let me show you first. That will be at the rate controller. This basically used to create a controller layer where all the backend logic will be implemented in a controller layer, that where there we will controller. Then at the rate REST controller annotation we will see where we will create an REST APIs, means we are creating an APIs inside the REST controller. Then we have at the rate service service annotation. There we will create a service class, means inside service class we will create a different types of method, and that method we will basically implement inside a controller layer. Okay, in controller layer we will create a class, and in service layer we will create different types of method and implement that method inside the controller and REST controller. Okay, then we have a repository layer at the rate REPOSITO repository layer, where we will create a method which will basically implements JPA repository. JPA repository is a method which basically interact with the our database. So to interacting with the database, we will basically create a repository layer with the annotation at the repository, where that method basically interact with the database, and all the data related thing is basically done. Okay, with the help of that repository layer, and that repository layer we will basically inherit inside the service and controller layer. Okay, to make a connection with the database. Okay, so these are the basic uh, annotation. And similarly we have at the rate entity annotation, means here we will create an class with the help of encapsulation. Okay, whatever class we will create inside the encapsulation, that class name table will be created inside our database, and that database is basically we will use inside the entity to, if our we in controller layer and repository layer we will basically implement the method inside service layer, and that service layer basically connect with the repository layer, with the repository layer which basically perform CRUD operation. Okay, related to database. And entity is a class where the table will be created with the help of the entity in our database. Okay, these are basic uh, annotation basically. So this all for today's session. Okay, so today's session we have covered polymorphism, what is compile time, runtime polymorphism. These things are necessary. Interview, definitely 100% we will question will be asked from this. Okay. So remember all the point related which I have told. Okay. So see you in the next session. Thank you.